Hi everyone, this is Tiger and this is Kojiro. This time I want to share the famous phrase, stay hungry and stay foolish. This is a word from Steve Jobs. Maybe most of the people of our generation knows he's the CEO of Apple. And I don't know well about computers and Apple or Windows. I'm not sure about them, but the words he left at Stanford University, one commencement speech, it was very impressive. And yeah, this time I tried to cover it all, like many musicians did the covering the songs. I tried to cover his speech, the whole sentences. I'm not native English speaker, as you know, but I tried my best and paying my all respect to him. And yeah, just let's get started. I'm honored to be with you today at your commencement from one of the finest universities in the world. Truth be told, I never graduated from college, and this is the closest I've ever gotten to a college graduation. Today, I want to tell you 3 stories from my life. That's it. No big deal, just 3 stories. The first story is about connecting the dots. I dropped out of real college after the first 6 months, but instead allowance was dropping in for another 18 months or so before I really quit. So why did I drop out? It started before I was born. My biological mother was a young awkward graduate student, and she decided to put me up for adoption. She felt very strongly that I should be adopted by a college graduate, so everything was all set for me to be adopted at birth by a lawyer and his wife. Except when I popped out, they decided at the last minute that they really wanted a girl. So my parents, who were on a waiting list, got a call in the middle of the night asking, "We got our unexpected baby boy. Do you want him?" They said, "Of course." My biological mother found out later that my mother had never graduated from college and that my father had never graduated from high school. She refused to sign the final adoption papers. She only relented a few months later when my parents promised that I would go to college. This was a start in my life, and 17 years later, I did go to college. But I naively chose a college that was almost as expensive as Stanford, and all of my working class parents' savings were being spent on my college tuition. And after 6 months, I couldn't see the value in it. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and no idea how college was going to help me figure it out. And here I was spending all of the money my parents had saved in entire life. So I decided to drop out and trust that it would all work out okay. The minute I dropped out, I could stop taking required classes that didn't interest me and begin dropping in only ones that looked far more interesting. It wasn't all romantic. I didn't have a dorm room, so I slept on the floor in friends' rooms. I returned a Coke bottle for the 5% deposit to buy food with. And I would walk the 7 miles across town every Sunday night to get one good meal a week at the Hare Krishna temple. I loved it. And much of what I stumbled into, by following my curiosity and intuition, turned out to be priceless later on. Let me give you one example. Reed College at the time offered perhaps the best calligraphy instruction in the country. Throughout the campus, every poster, every label on every drawer was beautifully hand calligraphed. Because I had dropped out and didn't have to take normal classes, I decided to take a calligraphy class to learn how to do this. I learned about self and sans serif typefaces, about varying the amount of space between different letter combinations, about what makes great typography great. It was beautiful, historical, artistically subtle in a way that science can't capture, and I found it fascinating. None of this had even hope of any practical application in my life. But 10 years later, when we were designing the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to me, and we designed it all into the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If I had never dropped in on that single course in college, the Mac would have never had a multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts. And since Windows just copied Mac, it's likely that no personal computer would have them. If I had never dropped out, I would have never dropped in that calligraphy class, and the personal computers might not have the wonderful typography that they do. Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your guts, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing in those connect down the road, it gives you the confidence to follow your heart, even it leads you off the very wrong path that will make all the difference.